the interest in David Raum has come back around. I think we were linked with him about a month ago now, and we did a report on him. He is a left wing back. He's not a natural left back, so that's another point to mention about him. But do you think, he is a really good player. He's an excellent player. Do you think he'd be able to adapt to a back four? And how can we kind of compare him to Cresswell?
Often you will look at that data and go, well, if they're not engaging in many duels, they're not having many successful defensive actions, then they're not that involved defensively. But what it doesn't talk about is, well, how much possession do they have? How much of the play that they have as a team? But where we look here, where we talk about the amount of tackles he makes, that does show that he does get involved more, or he tackles or wins the ball possession more than, say, Cresswell does. What I think is quite telling when you look at Raum in his defensive kind of piece is that he doesn't engage in that many duels, partly because that's how it is statistically in his team in terms of their approach. They have a lot of the ball, so he doesn't necessarily need to defend as much. But when he does engage, he does win quite a few. Now, my question always is with a left wing back is how do they do going backwards. I think Raum, if we're looking at left wing backs to potentially play as left back, he's the one that I would have more confidence in. We often see the likes of Sousa being linked. Sousa would petrify me in a back four. He's very good going in one direction. He is not very good going in the other direction. His timing is inconsistent, to be kind to him. But whereas Raum, there is a better defensive mind in there. We've seen that when England played Germany as well. He does have good concentration, which is obviously what you need. But ultimately, what he brings in attack is where you're really going to see what Raum does. And we've constantly said, so I think we'd be a bit remiss if we concentrated on his defensive, kind of skill set, because we've constantly said that we don't have a fullback that attacks. We don't have a fullback that is, whilst his possession stats are very good, when you look at things like forward passing and progressive passing, they're also quite easy to, if you've ever seen The Wire, there's a term called duking the stats, which is and that's kind of what it is. He passes forward a lot, but if you're passing 10, 15 yards to a winger just in front of you, that's easy. That's an easy stat. Same with progressive passes. As long as he passes it over, say, like 20 meters or passes it closer to goal, if he goes 20, 30 so on meters, then that's classed as a progressive pass. Now, it doesn't necessarily create something, but it looks good. It looks like they're progressive. So
yeah,
I don't think Cresswell's very good in possession, but I don't think he offers much in attack. Same when you look at his crossing isn't that good. He has a worse cross percentage rate than Ben Johnson, who is constantly called out for his ability to cross. So again, you look at the numbers tell a different story to the perception. And I think with Raum, you get a player who can go on the outside, he can get a cross in, whether that's playing it along the floor or actually dinking it across. He's a player that will be a consistent form, and it's someone that could release Benrahma to play how Benrahma wants to play. We often saw last season him easily getting two players up on him, so he was constantly in 2v1s. He'd kind of come in, but then the player was always there to kind of maybe block the cross, because there wasn't then a player to distract them and maybe pull them away to give them that half a centimetre that they need in which to get that ball in. So someone like Raum, who's going to be consistently and constantly looking to overlap and get involved, is going to be nothing but good for us. Obviously, we have to be a bit wary in midfield, but I think it's a really positive one. It's just comes down to, are we willing to potentially pay the 35 million euros? I think that has been talked around.
Yeah.
The most we've ever paid for a fullback is 7 million, and that's Masuaku.
Yeah.
Are we going to all of a sudden pay 23 million pounds more than we've ever paid on a fullback? Especially when they've gone and plucked, say, Sufal out of obscurity for 5 million quid. Is that going to reinforce their idea of You don't need to spend much. You just need to get the right player. Is that going to be the same philosophy with Raum? So I kind of have a duality with it. One, because I know he's not a left back. So all these talks of him being a left back is not strictly true. Has incredible quality, but I think there's a trade-off, and I think we need to accept the trade-off. But what the biggest thing in that, if I'm going to be really positive about it, is what he does allow the team to do is to be tactically very flexible. So in game, we can switch from a back four into a back three. He is a player who is very comfortable in that formation. We've also brought in an assistant manager who, for all of last season, played a 3-4-3. So that's also going to help us, because last year we were appalling in that shape. So we have a manager who is our assistant manager now, but who is very comfortable in that system. We're clearly looking at a player who is comfortable in that position, and also the Merla links, very telling. That's a player who's played left wing back, right wing back. So we're clearly looking at players that are adaptable in other formations. So I'm going to be incredibly positive about it. What it does mean is, we may have a trade-off at him at left back. If you look at it from if we change formation into a 3-4-3, then we've got an incredible asset.
Yeah, I think that's something that really appeals to me about this deal. Although it's, going to cost us 30 million or whatever, we've lost Mike. That's fine. Me and you. Oh, he's back. God, what was I saying? Yeah. So what kind of attracts me to this deal is that he can switch from, that back four to back five. Obviously, he's not a natural left back, but for me, I think he can do that from what I've seen. And, the more he plays it, the more comfortable he'll probably get with it. Thing with Cresswell is, at the moment, we want to switch to a back five. We can't put him left wing back. We've been playing 4 nows there. So again, gives us that flexibility that you mentioned there, Mike. And I don't think past signings in terms of fullbacks should be looked at in terms of the price. I think if the player's there and is available and, it works for the club and, for both parties, we should do it. I guess one for you, Stoff, is we know about Raum's attacking capabilities, but how much of an improvement on Cresswell would he be defensively? Although he plays in a wing-back system, can you see similarities in terms of how good they are defensively, or would you say Raum is slightly better than Cresswell?
I think Raum is probably, he's got the recovery pace that if he does switch off like Cresswell has done, he's going to make that challenge. He's going to get back. He's a left wing back who can actually do the back part, as opposed to someone like Masuaku who just is left wing and can't really do anything when he gets back. He can't do anything. So Raum gives you a lot more kind of dependability in that formation. Is he as good as Cresswell in terms of out and out defense? I'd say not quite as good. Just because he's not quite as dependable. He's not quite got the same defensive know-how. That comes with experience. So, a young guy, that will come into his game more. But he's very much an attacking left wing back. He's, as Mike said, going to be looking to give you an outlet, give you a chance. And if he has to sprint back 20, 30 yards to make a challenge, he'll do that. But it's not quite, you're not going to get the same ability to shepherd the ball out of play, shepherd someone into a corner, or make up for his lack of pace with defensive knowledge. Whereas Raum will give you maybe a slightly more rash end of things. I will say I agree with Mike that I just can't see us spending that on a left wing back. And when I sound like a stuck record, I've said it so many times, but when you have Bassi available from Rangers, who's been playing in the Europa League, can play left centre back and left back, and we know he's athletic and likes to bomb forward. He's a London lad as well. So for me, it's obviously Raum is a much, much better overall footballer. But when you have a manager who you know is going to want to play Cresswell, is going to want some form of familiarity to the position and the formation he plays. Well, you can go out and you can get another homegrown lad and someone who he's going to be fine wherever you put him in if we want to play a back three,